Hey guys, so let's talk about the 80-20 of visual regression testing. So let's talk about the use case for this. So I have this Verve UI website, which is a UI library for React, and I have a bunch of categories for components. Categories like layout and typography and data entry, and then we have the components within them. Now, to make navigation easier, I wanted to add a sidebar. So let me show you how that would look. So I created this little sidebar, and the sidebar would show like that, right? So it needs a little styling, like it's not super beautiful, but whatever, it works, right? And we get to see the categories, and we get to see the components within these categories. And for this particular page, which is the layout page, this worked beautifully. The sidebar shows to the left, it pushes the content to the right, everything is okay, but it did not work. So this worked for all pages except this one, the container page, because this container component is now broken. Let me show you how that was before. And for this particular page, we have this container component. The blue area is where the content shows up, and then the green area is the padding of the container component. And what this page is supposed to show is that if you resize the browser, you'll see that the padding has no jarring breakpoints. It's a fluid padding that goes from whatever you set as the minimum padding on the minimum website width to whatever you set as the max padding on the max website width, and everything flows in between those two values, and then you can kind of manipulate those values and play around with them, and you'll see that change. Now, the problem is that when we have the sidebar, this broke this particular page, and it was only one page that broke. So that's a little bit frustrating, right? It's like you make some changes to your website, it will affect, well, depending on the change, it will affect just one or many pages, but it's hard to predict which pages will be affected and if those changes are good changes or bad changes. So that's where visual regression testing comes in. So let me remove the sidebar first, and let me show you how visual regression testing works. So it's very straightforward. I have Playwright installed and configured. I have end-to-end tests here, and there's this little file called visual regression. And it's very easy. It's very simple. You just go to whatever page you want to go to, you want to test, and then you take a screenshot. And the only change that you have to add here is you want the screenshot to be full page. There are other options here like threshold and timeout, but this is the 80-20 of visual regression testing, so we're not going to go into those here. Let me know if you want me to create a video about that. So this will take a full screen screenshot, a full page screenshot of this page. And of course, you add tests for all the pages that you want to test. And what Playwright will do is compare the screenshot you had before with the screenshot that you have now that you've made some change to the website. So for now, there are no screenshots here, but we can open up Playwright and we can get this to run. So I'm just going to run a few. So let's run this on the home page. So it fails, but it also generated a screenshot for that, right? So we can actually get this to run. Let's run on them all. And you'll see that because I ran the homepage before, it had already generated that screenshot. So now the test passes because it's comparing the screenshot that we had before with the screenshot that the Playwright is taking from the website right now. Of course, they're the same, so the test passes. So the way this works is because Playwright detects that this is the first time the test is running, it will just generate these screenshots for us, right? Then, of course, if we run this again, all these tests will pass because the screenshots are exactly the same. There we go. All the screenshots pass. All right, cool. So let's make a change. In this case, let's add the sidebar. And let's stop that. We already know those will pass. And let's run the tests again. And what we will see is that the pages that are not affected, those tests will still pass. But the pages that have something changed in them will now fail. And let me show you, for example, the layout page. And this is very interesting. So Playwright gives you the actual, so whatever the page is now, right? So this is what the page is showing now. This is the expected. So this is whatever we had before. We have a side-by-side comparison. We have a slider comparison, which is one of my favorites. So what we had before, what we have now, and the diff. The diff is extremely useful, particularly when the changes that you have between the previous page and the new page are very tiny, very minute. And the diff really highlights those small changes. Usually, I just click on the diff or the slider. This shows me everything I need to know. So let's assume that we take a look at this page. Like, okay, it looks good. We like how this page looks, so we want to accept just this one. So what we do is we go on this test, we go on the layout page, and we need to do dot only because we only want the layout page to be tested. And then if we run all the tests, because we have that dot only, that will be the only test that will run. But now that we have the dot only, what we can do is we can accept this, we can recreate the screenshot by running Playwright test update snapshots. Now, if you don't have that dot only, this will update all the screenshots. If you have that dot only, this will update the screenshots only for that particular page. So let's run that. We like the change, we update it, we run this, okay, it's updated. Now, if we can remove it, and you'll see that we still have all the tests that we had before, you know, the ones that were passing, the ones that were failing, but now the layout will also pass because we have updated that screenshot. So here's the workflow. You have some initial screenshots. Supposedly they're all okay. It's the first time you're screenshotting your website. So you kind of create what's called the golden screenshot, right? Then you make a change to the website. When you run the visual regression tests, they will tell you the pages that changed and the pages that did not change. For the pages that changed, you just go one by one and you check if you accept that change, right? And if you do, you set the dot only, and then you accept, you run the script here, Playwright test update snapshots, and you will update the snapshot for that particular page. You do that for all the pages. Of course, that may involve writing some code to fix something that you may have been broken somewhere else. But eventually you want to get to a place where you don't have any dot onlys, obviously, because you want to test them, you want to test all the pages, and they are all passing, right? So you've updated the code and all the pages look exactly like you want them to look. Once you get there, then beautiful, you're good to go. You can deploy this to staging, and if all the tests pass in staging as well, then of course you push that to production. Now, small tip here, because I'm the sole developer in this project, I don't need these tests to run in CI/CD. Also, there's a bit of a problem with running this in CI/CD, which is, if you notice, the names of the screenshots are the names of the tests. So pages is this thing here. then the name of the particular test that I'm running. So for example, I have pages and I have homepage here. And then we have Chromium, which is the browser that Playwright is enabled to test against. Then Darwin is my computer, right? So Darwin means Mac OS. If I run this in CI/CD, this is gonna change the screenshot's name, and it's gonna change the Darwin to Linux because I'm running this in Docker, and it's a Linux image. Now, to avoid that problem, I just entirely skip the tests during CI/CD. I do all the visual regression testing in localhost, and then once everything is passing, I just push this to staging, and if everything is passing there, I push it to production. All right, so this is the workflow for the 80/20 visual regression testing. I hope this was useful. See you on the next one.